Today's opening tip. Mark Cuban's been fined 500,000 big ones for his criticism of officials and his tweets, quite frankly, following the February 22nd loss to the Hawks. Cuban went on the court twice that night to confront officials. Mr. Michael Wilbon, are you surprised that fine is this large? Mr. Michael Wilbon, are you just stunned? The fine is that large?
I'm completely stunned.
He has no words. I mean,
he's watching Cuban and going,
Listen,
look at that.
What is he, over $10 million now, right?
Well,
he has paid at least $3 million in public fines, but I mean, it's
public fines.
$12 million.
No. Whatever the number is, Brian, you're not going to be surprised, or you shouldn't.
Yeah, I wonder how they came to that. Do you think we can get away with 600,000? No, let's give him 5.
No, just go to 5.
Welcome to The Jump. I am Brian Windhurst in for Rachel Nichols. Today, I'm joined by our NBA reporter extraordinaire, Malika Andrews, and the GOAT.
She left Chicago. I'm not speaking.
The co-host of Pardon the Interruption, the winner of the Kurt Gowdy Award, heading into Springfield this summer. He needs no further introduction. Michael Wilbon.
Thank you.
Coming up, LeBron James says he doesn't care about winning the MVP this season. Do you buy that? We'll get into that later in the show. But first, the Clippers won their 6th straight game last night, and they did it by shutting down the micro ball Rockets, holding Houston to just 36% shooting from the field, 17% from three-point range. Mr. Wilbon, are the Clippers clicking at the right time now?
Yes, I think it's the right time. You know, you could be a little early, even now, because the thing the Clippers have to do is be healthy. I mean, that stat, to me, the only important stat out there, team-related stat, is the one that says they're 10-0 when they don't have anybody on the injured list.
Pretty good, right?
That's it, right? That's the whole deal. And we've all had enough conversations with people in the Clippers camp, including the head coach, who were saying, hey, shut up. We have to be healthy. We have to get 15, 18, 20 games. Well, now we're plus 20. What do you do? Do you manage it? Do you do you just let it go? And you don't want to see these guys limping into the postseason. But if they are running into the postseason, they are going to be, to me, I know they won't be the Vegas favorite. They'll be my favorite.
Brian, you know that Brett Brown has a saying. It's all about how the plane lands on April 14th. And that's absolutely right. That's what the Clippers are employing right now. They're looking at how do we need to be going into the playoffs. We need to be playing our best basketball. And that's not a Clipper-specific thing. That's something that a lot of folks around the league think. Now, whether or not, in my mind, it's if the Bucks and the Lakers are in the finals, right? That kind of proves that the NBA regular season, it matters a little bit. Winning those games in the regular season matters. If the Clippers are the team that comes out, then we start getting into, does this further bolster the argument that the regular season, until March or April.
By the way, in these last 6 games we're looking at here, there is a win against Denver. There's a win in Oklahoma City, where they're really good at home, and then the Rockets have been red hot. And they took them down some notches last night. And speaking of the Rockets, Mr. Wilbon.
Do we have to?
You know, what was this? I know how you feel about this. Here comes the ball. What do you think that the significance of that loss was last night?
The significance was, as a coach told me earlier in the week, Houston's not going to win that game. They're not going to beat any of the teams that matter in this format. And look, I give the Rockets all the credit in the world for not going with the process and not lying to their fan base for 5 and 6 years. I give them all the credit in the world. Daryl Morey and others, the whole staff, they try to win. They try to do the best thing for them. But it doesn't mean it's going to win. They're not going to beat the Clippers. They're not going to beat the Lakers. I'm not sure they could beat Denver.
I think they believe if they end up in the 4 spot that they would have a puncher's chance against the Lakers. That's what they believe. But last night was a setback.
Last night was a lesson. And everybody in the league's watching it. I've had another coach tell me, everybody in the league knows what it is going to do when they have to play against Houston for real. They all know it. They're waiting to employ it. And we saw that last night. Look, if you tell me the Rockets can play nearly a perfect game and shoot 45% or better 3 times in a series against these really good teams, I'll shut up. But you can't. Because they throw 0 for 20. No, I'll give them a 4th scramble. I'll give them a scramble game, Brian. But they go 0 for 27. And I know 0 for 27 is historically bad. They go nearly historically bad lots of times in the playoffs over the past few years. You're going to tell me that a team with defensive pride like the Clippers is going to lose twice in a series? No, they're not. And neither will the Lakers. And again, right now, my money would be on Denver if that series was to take place.
There's some big bad boys playing in L.A. that they'd have to deal with.
Yeah, 2 sets.
Hey, Steph Curry. Remember Steph Curry? He returned to action last night after a 58-game absence. It only felt like 52. And he scored 23 points to go along with 7 assists and 7 rebounds in the loss. And here's what Curry said after the game, getting back into the swing of things. Take a listen.
It felt great. It was a lot of energy, just anticipation for tonight, and just getting back out there on the floor. Throughout the 27 minutes, I felt good, so I'm excited to be back out there. And we had some good moments. Obviously, Toronto's a championship team that has a lot of chemistry, and they know how to win. So for us, it was a good step in the right direction.
Wilbon, what impressed you most about what we saw from Curry last night?
It'll be a weird thing. It's kind of intangible. His spirit.
Yeah.
He came back with the same spirit that Steph Curry plays with.
That's true.
In championship times. And I thought, maybe I watched every second of the post game for him, that conversation. And just his way of assessing, okay, here's what I did, here's what we need to do. How upbeat he was, how upbeat Steve Kerr was as a result of Steph being
they lost,
upbeat.
but it didn't
They
feel
lost.
like a loss.
It didn't and let's face it, they've had nothing to really. Well, that's not true. They've been on this quest to find people who can move forward with the real program when it resumes.
Yep.
It resumed in part largely last night, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it expanded. That spirit expanded into the arena. And, my family has been season ticket holders with the Warriors since the early 2000s. And what they always call me up and tell me is, Malika, there's no spirit in this new arena. There's no energy. And you could see it bleeding into the crowd. It wasn't just the cheese and crackers crowd anymore, right?
They have wine, too.
Expensive cheese and crackers.
Exactly. Like, this was some real fans. There was some energy in that building. When was the last time you guys saw energy in that building?
Well, they've had moments this year, but your point is well taken. The video of Steph when he came out on the court last night, he jumped 3 feet in the air in the tunnel.
It's like a kid.
He was just very excited to play, and he looked loose. And he said that he landed on the hand early in the game, and he was fine, and that he needed that piece of business to know that he was going to be okay, and that really freed him up to play more. Hey, as for the team that won that game, by the way, the Raptors became just the second team to clinch a playoff spot this season. Another nice win for them in the Bay, joining the Bucks. The Raptors are second in the East, even after losing Kawhi Leonard this offseason. Malika, is Nick Nurse your Coach of the Year frontrunner doing this?
Impressive, but not necessarily. I mean, I'm still looking at Taylor Jenkins in Memphis. I think he is so impressive.
Can you win Coach of the Year your first year as a head coach? That'd be pretty good.
I mean, I am so impressed.
Coach of the Year.
Right.
We said we're not speaking today. I am so impressed by what Taylor has been able to do in Memphis. I'm impressed at what he's been able to get out of Ja Morant, who we knew was an incredible talent, but I'm not sure we saw this coming, right? He's a favorite for Rookie of the Year, and they've just been clicking on all cylinders. You're talking about a team that I don't think anyone was like, yep, they're going to make the playoffs. We're good. They're going to be a playoff team. And he elevated them there. And I was also told that he is a coach who almost weekly tries to reach out to these players and say, let's go to dinner. Let's go to lunch. Let's really try to take that time. The Raptors are still the champs. I mean, Nick Nurse is great. I think he's been incredible, especially considering Kawhi Leonard left, but it's not so cut and dry for me.
It's Nick Nurse.
We're still not speaking today.
He listened so respectfully.
No, I did because Malika makes some great points about Taylor Jenkins. And by the way, what do we vote for? Is it 3 or 5 on Coach of the Year? It's 3. He's on it. He's in the 3. But man, number 2's not walking in that door, is he? He's not walking in. And so if somebody had told you the Raptors would have this record and won some of the games they
had a lot of injuries. Too.
And
it would have been up there with the Grizzlies making the playoffs.
The Grizzlies, as you mentioned, had no pressure because nobody expected anything. Toronto had some pressure, not pressure to finish first in the East anymore, but just pressure. Okay, let's see what you got. Let's see what you guys can do. You alleged champions without Kawhi there. Well, it sort of reminds me, and I hate to get too Chicago-centric, but it sort of reminds me of the year that Michael Jordan retired. And the Bulls were right there with the Knicks in the Eastern Conference with Scottie Pippen leading the way. And you didn't think there was any way without Michael Jordan. I think they won 54 games that they could do that. This reminds me of that. And Toronto's even better sort of in that year after, if you look at that streak and the consistency which they've had. I know they lost that game in Milwaukee and everybody sort of took the wind out of the sails a little bit. Took it out of your sails and took the vote away from Nick Nurse. But I still think Nick Nurse is at the top of my ballot.
Let me add a name to this conversation. I think Billy Donovan in Oklahoma City with not only getting that team to play well, but taking a bunch of ball handlers and putting them all together. He now plays 3-point guards at the end of games. And by the way, they're the best clutch team in the world.
Pretty smart.
Speaking of a coach who's having some trouble, coming up, Jim Boylan is planning to make the Bulls' practices tougher in an effort to increase their effort level.
Only for you.
Is this the right idea? We'll discuss that. But first, it's time for our distant replay from this date in 2001 featuring the late, the great Kobe Bean Bryant.
With him.
Oh, give him a go.
Zing.